Once again, thank you for being with us, and let's start this final discussion closing today's presentations, which again, thank each and every one of you for sharing. And this is meant to be a discussion about sustainable practices in digital arts in digital media for performing arts, but maybe I will reframe that a bit and ask you first about what was your output of today's presentations, and if there was something that you found particularly relevant for your own works and thinking about what the sustainability in this field can be, or what type of practice we can implement, or new ideas, reflections. So I will start to opening actually this discussion for you to share.
Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah. Lollipop, but anyway, what I got out of it were a lot of thoughts that I had already thought about, and possibly even mentioned this idea of networking and reaching out and finding alternative ways of working with different organizations and looking at what kind of practices that we have that are interdisciplinary. I think the speaker over there, she introduced that idea, and so that sort of confirmed the things that I had thought about. But for me, the issue and the problem was that representation of the audience and the audience that should have actually come here, and that should have been from those cultural institutions and should have been from those outside organizations. Otherwise, the information that we're talking about here amongst ourselves remains here amongst ourselves, and it's those actual divisions between big organizations and cultural organizations, whether they're national, local, or city, they have to be involved. We have to drag them in, and we have to say, you listen to us, this is what our problems are. And until that is resolved, because we underwent the same thing in South Africa after democracy, because we were doing all our work in this side, and all the politicians were sitting over there, and we said, no, they must come into the meetings and listen to our problems as well. So that was, I'm not putting you down, I'm not saying anything, I'm just being like, that for me is an issue we as artists have to tackle. Yeah.
So I take the microphone. But thanks for that sharing, Jeannette. But I also wanted to emphasize what I found amazing. It was actually that we have a lot of things in common sense of the problems we see, in common that we are having this challenge as artists, as practitioners, to really see this as a possibility, and seeing as a possibility to grow, to rethink our processes, to rethink our self-descriptions and who we are, self-image, who we think we are, and to find new ways of connecting. And this was, for me, the first time where I really thought, okay, it's interesting because everybody's in his own world. Huh? I mean, I'm in my bubble, you're in your bubble, we're all in our bubbles. But then to hear from others, that's also about diversity, or it's also about how to translate, or to create mediators within processes, to link different kind of systems, to work transdisciplinary. I mean, this was things which actually, when we listen, came all the time again and again. And I think if we would write this down, we already had a kind of not a mission statement, but we would have subjects which we then could address also to people which were not here, but to really, I would wish this also in the publication later on, that really create a very practical catalog, that we say, okay, this was A, B, C, D, these are the topics, this we discussed, and this came back, and now what do we with this ones, or what do we with this aspect? So I really would hope that we could even go on and deepen this discussion.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful for this great and open atmosphere here. And this is also, I think, a very a special thing what artists and the artists was heißt Vermittler? The mediator, and so could create. That is one of our big task, and we are specialized then also in different disciplines, and I'm very thankful for the reframing in the history. It was also very interesting, and I think all things together we could be very proud of our research and our power, and we could go also in other fields, not only in the transdisciplinary productions, sondern even more in fashion or gaming or in the creative industries. So.
I really like one sentence that you said, I guess, that if there are no funds, we have to work with people we trust, something like that. And I will work on it. I mean, even if there are funds, I guess we should work with people that we trust or we learn to trust. I mean, that's something that I just pick up from your talk, and I think it also fits the day of conference today. So it would be some kind of emotional work, maybe labor. But the matter of trust, emotions, and everything that is like non-visible in, I don't know, project proposal or administrational papers. That's interesting that somehow it came up in very different ways today.
Thank you.
Can you clarify what you mean by trust? What is that engagement? Where does that take place?
It's a secret, and for sure. Maybe I should skip be silent. No, that was the sentence that was this the second.
I think we have to trust each other, we had we built long-term relations to different artists and different enterprises and so, and they learned to trust us and we learned to trust them. No, that's not always the way, but no. When it's good and it's long term. And the other thing is to trust our own Fähigkeiten, also skills and abilities, no? And to talk open and so, something like this, yeah.
I've just been living in Sweden for 2 years now. And to try and raise funds with new organizations is very difficult as an outsider coming in. And so they have a lot of mistrust about me because they don't really know what I do. And a lot of the funding tends to always go to the ones that have been there for maybe life, and they have developed this long-term relationship. So even though I think my work is pretty strong and it's been developing over the last few years in other places, because I'm a new kid on the block, there's no opportunity to have developed any sort of trust. And that's why I wanted to ask you. And the thing is that when they make selections over there, there's a committee for each applicant, and it goes through stringent decision-making processes, and that I've not seen before. And they tell you openly how they do that. And it's quite... Now I know how to make an application now, because they've got a very deciduous way of going, right, she doesn't meet this criteria, okay, out with that project, So it's not about trust anymore, it's about ticking boxes, actually.
Yeah.
Can I? Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I meant trust during the process. I mean, within 1 week can choose who you're working with. That was the...
Yeah, and I also want to emphasize, because that was also important for me, what I said, to really create value systems, and trust is one of this in process, because that's one goal for me for creating what you also mentioned, long-term and sustainable working conditions. Mm. And this is also to have the possibility and create ways of respect or listening to really exchange different viewpoints and listen. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just adding to this trust, of course, we now have a lot of like fake information and fake reality. Like, for example, working with ChatGPT, you cannot trust this machine because it can produce you false information. And that makes it a problem because it consumes more energy from you because you need to check it out. And then where do you check it out? In the internet. And the internet is not trustworthy as well. But are all the books trustworthy? So this is, I think, a very big topic also right now with artificial intelligence. And if you have more and more content to charge, it's getting more and more difficult to, like, you need to trust because you are not able to check everything if it's right or wrong. And as you mentioned, this trust on this level of, is this organization worthy to get a grant and so on. This is, I think, a very, very hard topic because it means also that most likely it means that ChatGPT will start like winning more applications than the human being because it will learn much faster to like fit into the tags. Yeah, so where are we now with this thing?
Okay, I can say something, but I start to wonder when you said what is the trust. It's a very open question, of course. It depends on the context, I guess, and on the culture, I guess, and the digital culture is also different. So the trust to the digital culture, it's also different. But I think this open question can be really deepened to say if then cooperation between human being, it's a technology or not. Because if it's a technology, and there exists one definition of technology which emphasizes that it's any cooperation between humans in order to change the physical world, then we can somehow put a definition of trust, I suppose, at least the functional definition which would operate in, for example, project, as you mentioned, facilitators. In the project, it's somebody who has a trust of scientists or engineers and the trust of an artist. So it's just an open question. It's if this question it's really can be deepened to the question if the cooperation between humans in certain contexts it's a technology or not. I don't know.
Okay, I think that is different levels of trust, and sometimes I feel that I am I have internal conflict because when we go deeper to the what technology we use and what for. I don't know, when Regina in this first speech said about the NFT, for example, it was the one moment when because I still wanna remember about the dancer, like the artist on the base level, and I thought, okay, NFT maybe could help to cover their rights and their artworks because it's like the alternative. This is like the maybe AI also is like the some kind of independent reality, and the NFT is also independent of the law system because it's very rotten, is influences by the and the big companies of this kind of stuff, and I thought, okay, maybe dancers can like register their choreography, for example, and that is in case sell this choreography and is okay, and maybe that is promising. But also I realized that is much more cost of and put the more carbon footprint as AI, because it generates a lot of energy. It's like the crypto, and it's bad way. And also the big company very like, I realized that in Asia that there is the very pressure of the support the NFT, for example. In Europe is not hot now topic, but in Asia still, because they produce the GPU or the computers which could selling for the calculate this, and they could sell this, and this is related with this natural sources and this kind of stuff, and I still wanna remember about the single dancer, single performance on the bottom of of everything, and yeah, it's very difficult. Sometimes I thought maybe the technologies, we don't need the technology, but this is also strange, because we are living in the technology, and that is also. Yeah, we can go to the forest and live there and do the performances there. If we find the proper forest, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm confused sometimes with this, and I believe, and maybe I found another solution for the artist, for the dancer. For example, I noticed the interesting ways for the dancer, and even dancer when stop. Practice professional career, that they also you can use the motion sensor and, for example, record the motion capture for the video games, animation, and that is quite interesting area. And even if there is it's called Miyaksamo, and what I was surprised that is store for the people can record the movement without body, just the movement, and you can buy the animation skeletons and retarget the skeletons to the another models, and that is very interesting. That is also one of the possibilities to be active as a performer.
May I add
Yeah.
to that, because it tackles also very interesting and concerning, but a topic we didn't relate now, which is the legal aspects of this. And exactly what you are talking about, it's also, we can see it as an opportunity for dancers to grasp and to reframe kind of their presence on the market, and certainly some artists are doing that. But more and more often there are cases that dancers' works, like especially with video dance, which is used as an input for artificial intelligence, for instance, to learn from this, this work is being taken, is being cut for short parts and sold exactly as a movement patterns to use for animation, for gaming, for instance. It's very effective without any profit for the artists themselves, but of course, who profits from it, right? So,
yeah, everything have the two sides.
On the legal side of things, we cannot, because how copyright works, we cannot copyright a single movement or intention of the movement. It just works as a choreography with a certain music, with a certain set. So that's also another problem which is created by this technology. It's kind of parallel reality on the legal side, which is not regulated yet. I don't know if it will be possible.
I have like two thoughts about this. Like, first of all, when we started like working with this idea of ChatGPT, whatever, and a lot of IT people, like programmers, they started to be really afraid about this job. We felt like, okay, at least as a dancers, first time in our life, first time in history, you feel sort of comfortable that you're not gonna be replaced so easily. Because you cannot replace, like, I don't think that so easily you can replace a yoga teacher or a embodiment teacher or a like somatic teacher or dance teacher. First of all, because it feels weird. And second, like, it will be very, very difficult to transmit this all information from the body to body. So, like, first time in my life, I felt secure about my job. Maybe it's a fake feeling, I don't know. But, well, at least a little bit of hope. But at the same time, I think I lost this. So, maybe next time.
I think we don't have to be afraid, because when I think in the 100 years before, when we find the photography, then was the same discussion. Is this the new picture, or this is painted picture, and so, and today we have both. I think we will have every time the physical performance. And this is, it's good that we learn it and we make it, and to understand how it works, because we have to decide it, how we want to use it. No?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I agree with you completely, but I just think that the technology, especially with AI and the use of algorithms, it is going at such an incredible speed of rapid change, so that, you know, the transition from using photography to where we are now, or to film, you know, took a couple of decades before it was totally acceptable and understandable. And then suddenly ChatGPT, when did we hear about it? End of 22, November 23. When was it? Yeah. 23. And suddenly it's just, what are we? We're in February 24. I mean, it's rapid acceleration. And as a human being, we don't move at that pace, and it's really difficult. I just find it so overwhelming. So I've just sort of done this a little bit, because I need to catch my breath. That's my only fear. And what we do with it ethically, and what it does to the planet as well. It's a big, great concern in terms of sustainability.
I believe that about your concern about the AI, how steal your job or not, because I always think that is two ways. First is very optimistic, that for example, the motion capture system, if somebody, the dancer, want to use this and work with the technology or video games, animation, this kind of stuff, is very expensive. It's like €1,000. But now, based on the AI, you can do this only record by phone your movement, and the AI analyze your skeleton and even know when you cover the part of body. So it's very hard working, and even a few years ago, that is very hard work with the many animators doing this. Anyway, but as Regina said about somebody can steal your work very easily, and also feeding the AI. But also I believe that when even that will be so easy and very advanced with this new technology, I believe that usually is back to the craft. Is the good example with the photography and like the paintings, avant-garde, like Impressionism was after, because the painters can add something what is not provided by the photography, for example, and I believe that is also very promising for the dance. But maybe it's like the challenge for us, or for dancers and for artists, that we have to very automatic system and very advanced, but we can also find, it's like music is also a good example. When the music start be recording and start the electronic music starts, and people before 20th century, they don't use the sonoristic articulation, because the humans can follow for this different sounds, and they experiment with the violinists, use the different object and preparing the instruments, and and this is real and this is viable, but it's other way. I don't know.
I would like to refer to something that Regina said. that there is this imbalance, let's say, between this technological progress and law, basically, that there's no like law or rules like covering copyrights in terms of movement and so on. So I think this is a very interesting issue, and we can scale it because what I see there is imbalance between of reality and tools to somehow secure everyone that can be somehow used or hurt by this development. What I mean, like law is slow. Sorry. So so maybe that's also the idea to rethink how like written rules or law, as I said, should follow the pace of the fast-paced development of reality. Yeah, basically, because it's 2024, and I guess this is the moment that European Union is like thinking about some kind of regulation on AI. I mean, besides the fact that it was kind of obvious that this kind of machine learning algorithms are going to grow, but now it's the moment that so we should like prepare some kind of regulations to like frame it, whatever, and it's kind of late. So maybe like thinking, I mean, this kind of this way of innovative thinking maybe should spread to other disciplines, not only to technology that we are all talking about today. That's my idea how to repair the world. Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's also, I didn't stress that out very much on the presentation before, but it's also a very vivid part of this discourse around digital media in arts. And one side of it is this feeling that we kind of opened this Pandora box and there is no way back. And some attempts how we can think about regulating something which is actually, the creation is far more in advance than something that is already available. So it's kind of no way back to the ways we can think about, I don't know, delegalize it or something, but maybe we can think positively, constructively about the ways how we can implement using of these tools in, for instance, teaching in arts, preparing new generations of artists, because they will face totally different reality in arts, that's for sure. I see some overlapping perspectives, which is in your presentation is also about this talk. And one of this is, well, certainly this kind of hope how we can adjust these tools, how we can embrace it. So also referring to what Jeannette said at the beginning, that we should perhaps try more and more bring policymakers to this discussion. And it's good that we still have 3 days of this conference ahead and the publication, so it will perhaps go further. But maybe let's play a game and try to find like 1 or 2 recommendations. What would you suggest? What would be a good idea, how to starting point for the regulators, for policymakers, what to have on mind? Like, for instance, use of ChatGPT for application making. It's very concerning how this can develop. So how can we, as we are here and also inviting our audience to this discussion, how can we think about this positive, constructive perspectives of suggestions?
Don't make a word your living lab, basically. I mean, there's one short movie by Martin Sims. I don't know if you know her. She's like a filmmaker. And there's one sentence that somehow, like, I remember it, that the social media was like experiment of the global scale. It was like crash test. And like, yeah, let's do that. Let's involve whole planet and let's see what will happen, basically. So like more research phase, but also before, letting something out. But of course it generates costs. It delays the moment then that the tool, the service can make money and so on. So, I mean, I don't want to sound like very general, but I guess capitalism is a problem. Who would think? Yeah, but I like returning to the starting point, more research, more checking, more checking if some kind of solution is working on a small scale, and then scale it to scale it basically. So.
Do I understand correctly that you mean some kind of format for trial project,
Yes.
then we can scale it for bigger formats?
Yes, sorry, it's very
Okay.
late. All right. So thank you for being my translator today.
Okay, that's intriguing. What do you think?
I can add something, but or you want to continue because I don't know. You don't want to continue. Okay, interesting. So I think there are a few things we can do at this moment with the AI. Just a few short remarks, because what we can see from 2023 is just an open AI. Yes, and it's not like this technology was developed in 1 year. It's machine learning is from at least I think 90s, because behind the machine learning is just a simple if instructions multiplied together. So it's just to tell you to not be that pessimistic, because this technology developed for many years to be an open right now. That's the difference. The difference is it is open, and the difference are the language generators. Also, when it comes to the...
Can I? It did not change really that much. Like neither ChatGPT or all this open AI pictures, I feel like it did not really change since 1 year, sort of.
Since we are talking about pictures, it's also the responsibility, and that was our proposition as a conclusion, whatever, from Cyberwheel, that again we have to decide what is art and what is not art, because we can have two identical pictures. Let's say we have a situation, we have two identical pictures, one painted by the painter, and it took like, I don't know, half of the year to do it, and another one identical made by AI. It could happen theoretically. So now we have a choice as a humanity, as an audience, which one is art, which one we want to value, which not. So it is also our proposition that again we have to see the choosing the material, choosing what is an art as a creative process, and in that way the audience is much more involved into creating art. So maybe in fact it's a positive thing, because there is no such a barrier between audience and artists anymore. Again, audience participate in the art, and I think I'm not the historian of the art, so please correct me, but I think that breaking this wall was one of the main goals of the artists in 20th century. So maybe right now, naturally, we can do it, because the situation requires that we have to cooperate with audience, since they always can choose something made by AI. That was our thought, more or less. And another hope I can see is coming from Professor Samantha Frost from University of Chicago essay article in Senses and Body from 2021. I think she coined the term the attentive body, and I'm talking about it in my lecture, about presentation about BMC.
This is an ad.
That right now, and it's also a proposition, if we take a Laban's system of motion, of movement, and we will have a notation of the dance, we can't right now say, without any further information, if this dance will be performed by the perfect humanoid robot or by the dancer. So maybe but maybe there is something more in the human that cannot be so quickly with the silicon semiconductor technology recreated in the robotics. Maybe it is the awareness of the selves. It seems to be a little bit esoteric, But when we think about, and that is the argument of Samantha Frost, when we think about the epigenetics, that the expression of some genes are revealed through the interacting with environment, we can see that the whole bodies can be seen as an attentive thing. And going back in the time, in the 70s, the Bonnie Bembridge-Cohen coined this term, the cellular awareness, that the whole body is attentive. So maybe if we use the description, not the notion of Laban, but the notion of BMC to description of movement, as long as it is, let's say, consistent language, we can somehow also prevent faking of the human dance. I don't know, just loose thought.
I think what Andrzej wanted to say is that we still have body, and we will not get rid of this body so easily, so fast. I don't believe so. And I don't know, I was just enjoying much more talking to Pavel and talking to Andrzej during the rehearsals than talking to ChatGPT. It was just like, okay, we again need to do this. It was just like this very dry feeling of talking to the machine. And the thing is, like, we did not care what it's saying. That was maybe the main problem. Like, it could say something very unique, but we just sort of like did not care because it was not coming from the human being.
And just last thought, if I can. Sorry for long interruption, long conversation. The challenge I can see with this tool, it's not tactile. Most of the tools we had in history of the human being were tactile tools, so we can extend our body with an axe or a pencil or a piano, cello, whatever. This tool is not tactile because the body of this tool is very different. So we have here, this is the body of the tool, yeah? It's a silicon body, it's not that easy tactile, so it may be a challenge for the humanity, I don't know.
Discussion about that, because I did a little bit of writing in my thesis about this, extending it from the somatic way of working with a tool to an embodied approach, but that's another whole long conversation. I just want to say very quickly that there are tools available for people who use DALL-E, who are scraping images off the internet, and artists are using, I don't know what it's called, maybe some of you guys know it, but it's software that you use on your image, that all your images that are online, and it corrupts the data being downloaded. So in some way there's some form of protection when your images are busy being scraped on the internet. And I don't know what we can do in terms of ourselves as dancers. I saw some article about this.
Maybe I can refer to that. I'm sure it's very close to your perspective also, which in your work exploring somatics, so such a deep level. But it's very important perhaps to realize how, especially talking about digital media and performing arts, that the somatics itself, it's very often like not at all part of this equation, and it's taken out of the picture, and we don't discuss what we all experience it actually, this overwhelm with data, and more I suppose the last year with this over generation of content. But maybe that, I wonder what you think, maybe that would be one of the proposal of potential development, sustainable development for dance, that make it less art or slower art, or bringing it perhaps to the level like live art will be something like a premium product again. Like this is completely another kind of marketing approach and strategy, but maybe something that we should more think about or take into consideration. What do you think?
About what you said also with this like overconsumption and capitalism that actually has fortunately has a lot to do with it. Like we need to monetize our work, and it's like all over the place. Like we need to make more money, we need to make more content, we need to make more content so we can make more money. And if we do not somehow like interrupt this circle, we won't be able to like escape it in some point. It's the same like with the fast fashion, like.
Something on this. Yeah, and therefore I think the discussion about sustainability is important because sometimes I have the feeling that we now also in a state we can discuss about this issue now, the technician and what's more with it, but really to think what is the specificity of each medium. And when I talk about live performance, to really think and not forget the audiences, because the text or the thing is co-created. So to really think what is the unique thing of the interrelationship between audiences and the performer. What is the specificity of this medium and how is it special and unique to other mediums? It's nothing to mystify it, you know, like it's in the 70s, but to really be aware of it and use it also as a tool to rethink creative processes, especially in dance. I have to say, I'm really not interested anymore, and I think it's a conceptual problem. And I've been part of it also, to go to a show where you work for a long time, for little audiences, which is played once. It's a conceptual problem. It's not just a problem of lack of that you have not enough money for communication, budget, etc. I think it's really, do we want to do this? Is it really all it's worth, also in relation of our resources we put in, the resources used? Is it sustainable consumption and production? So I really would like to address this also, to rethink this and see a potential in it.
I added a big potential is the right story, no? And we have to think about new stories, I think.
Yeah, or different stories. Oh, yeah.
I'm afraid we are running out of time now, so we have to go slowly to the end of our discussion. But still, I would love to continue, perhaps not in front of the camera anymore. But it feels like at least some proposals we can still develop afterwards, after this discussion, bringing some points together, like the model of how can we rethink the model of production arts, not to create so many performances for one presentation, for instance, but still thinking of the ways how we can allow artists to make a living also doing their work, because yeah, art will do fine, but I'm not sure if artists will. So this is also another aspect of sustainability. We will explore more of these topics over the coming days. So tomorrow will be more focused on the arts condition and the legal side of it, and then also about marketing and economics and promotion of art, and finally about well-being and body-mind centering and finding balance, the inner balance also in aspects of somatics. So going to the end, any last comments, proposals, suggestions, something we can bring with us further for reflection? Sorry?
An anecdote.
Okay, please do.
An anecdote is that I wrote an application and I thought, I'm going to throw it to ChatGPT and see what it does to it. It was horrendous. What came out sounded like some marketing spiel from some high corporate man sitting in a building. You know, it was this high sell talk, and I could not use it. It was the way it shaped the language wasn't speaking from me, from my embodied self. And I'd advise you, try it out. And it's hard sell, and it's all about monetizing your ideas. That's the biases that are in the algorithms that are creating that. It was terrible, really awful.
Thank you. Maybe after this discussion and today's presentation, maybe I should prompt ChatGPT asking the same question as I asked, and let's see what happens. Okay. Well, sorry. Sorry.
We ask a similar question.
Okay. Can we ask Mercusio for that? I wonder.
How to make life on air happy, I think.
Okay.
Like how to make a happy living. And it was a
that
very
would be precious.
boring. Like we put in this question and the answer was very general.
Okay. Maybe we have to prompt him to be specific. No, thank you very much for this, and with this positive closing, I think we'll end today's presentation, but still 3 days ahead of us. And thank you once again for your input and for your sharing. It's super precious, and I'm sure we'll also networking as a very important factor of sustainability emerged, I believe, from our presentations. So let's bring this networking part further. Thank you.